big your house is and how big your checkbook is. But you know what? There comes a point in time in your life that you're going to realize that I don't care how much silver and gold you have. I've made up my mind that I'd rather. I wish I could get a witness in here. I said I'd rather. Honey, you can take your Mercedes, you can take your big house, you can take your fancy clothes, but give me Jesus. Anybody here want to have a little talk? I heard the Bible say, what profit of a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? Anybody know what doing right now? Give me. That silver and gold, no fame or force, no riches untold. That silver and gold. Can we say it again? Silver and gold. Silver and gold. Can I get a witness in here? That silver. Listen, no fame or fortune. No fame or fortune. No riches untold. I'd rather take that silver and gold. Don't give me the mention. I forget. Don't give me the world with a shadow free, but just give me a chance. My life, I'd rather have Jesus. Woke up this morning, I was feeling kind of down. I called on the best friend. She didn't know. All right. Silver and gold, silver and gold. I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold. God bless you, preachers. We have none other but the Reverend Robert Cal Hoggett, Reverend Kobe Barnett, and Reverend Joseph Miller. How you fellas? Reverend Miller, I'm glad you could join us tonight. Thank you for stopping by. All right. There we go. Reverend Hoggett, how you doing, man?
Man, I can't complain. I'm just happy to be with these great theologians. I'm just happy to be here, man.
I'm just glad to have you, man. Good to see you. Pastor Barnett, what's happening, sir?
Bless you, man. Another great day to be alive, bro.
It really is, isn't it? It's another great day to be alive. And I'm glad to see all y'all. Reverend Miller, can you hear us? All right. Can y'all hear Reverend Miller?
I cannot.
Okay, I can't either. All right. So we're gonna jump right into it. I don't think his mic is not muted. All right, let's see here. He's in there. All right, fellas. Listen, I've been thinking about what's been going on, and we all in different cities. I'm in Paris, Tennessee, pastor in Murray, Kentucky. Hoggett, tell the people where you're at.
I'm in Rochester, New York, upstate New York, and trying to do the best I can.
All right, man. What about you, Barnett?
I'm here in Franklin, Kentucky, Bluegrass State, along with Mary. Just trying to be a living witness for the Master. Trying to be a voice for the voiceless.
Voice for the voiceless. Amen. And Reverend Miller, if you can hear us, where are you at? Okay. All right. I asked that question because even though we're in different cities, pretty far apart, except for possibly me and Reverend Miller, Kobe, me and you, we a little ways apart, at least an hour. And then Hoggett, I got to catch a flight next month. I'd have to catch a flight to come see you, and that's all right. But we all see the same thing. Yeah. And this is just what I believe. On these Tuesday night specials, biblically, we're just talking about something that's relevant, just trying to let God use us. And somebody has to speak however the Lord leads you to this text that I'm getting ready to read. But I'll just set the framework. Okay, his devices are not connected. I still see a lot of things going on that doesn't make me happy. You know, George Floyd is still fresh on our mind. And biblically speaking, I see a lot of things that happened then that mirror today. It might not be, the exact same thing, but wherever there are human beings, there's always an oppressed and an oppressor. There's big money to be made in oppression. There's big money to be made in injustice. And I thought about this text right here. I'm going to read one verse for the sake of time. And listen, I usually do about an hour, but what I'm saying, Red Miller, can you hear us now? Okay, we can see him, but we can't hear him. I see a lot of things that kind of remind me of today. For instance, in this text, First Samuel. Oh man, I forgot the password. Oh yeah.
1 Samuel chapter 17. I'm going to read one verse, and then I'm going to kind of set it up, and then we can go from there. Verse 24 in 1 Samuel 17, for all of those who are on Facebook. 1 Samuel chapter 17. Reverend Miller, if you can, if you ever can come in, just say something so we can hear you, because I surely don't want you to miss this. We got everybody on. All right. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 24. Can y'all fellas hear me pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay. Really all right. Just one verse, and I know y'all, you great scholars, man. I can't, I'm proud of Hager. I tried to get him. He was busy, but he said, "Can you wait till the finals?" And then some stuff came up, but I finally got him. And I know y'all busy. Reverend Barnett, thank y'all so much. Y'all will be able to put more light to this than I can, but I'll start it off. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 24. Whenever the Israelites, this is the NIV, saw the man, they all fled from him in great fear. Whenever the Israelites saw the man, they all fled from him in great fear. Now, him is Goliath. He is the Philistine champion. He is what I would think. I watch a lot of boxing. He's probably like Mike Tyson of that day. He just had a whole lot bigger frame, and everybody was afraid of him. And, that's interesting to me, because when you go back to this text, and I would go all the way back, if you can remember, God had already promised Israel the land, but the Philistines, being the Philistines, thought that was their land. So now we have a conflict over land, which is money, which is power. There's always money, there's always power when these wars are starting, sometimes over nothing. People die because countries want power. So the Philistines were like that as well. It's unbelievable, but they have the strongest human being on their side, the Philistines. They have somebody, I think he's 9 foot tall, and I think 9 feet 9 inches tall, I believe is what he is. And the Israelites are under the leadership of Saul, but Saul is not like he was when he first came on the scene. He's at this time, he's the king, he's the one in charge, but he's running. Just like the world we live in. Saddam Hussein at one time was running, Bin Laden was hiding. And I see, and this is elementary, I see the same type of thing going on in this text. Now, they're on the mountaintops in the valley of Eli, and it's really Israel, Philistine. They all got the proper military gear, but the Philistines again have this big giant. And here's what got me on the text. The Bible says that for 40 days, after he had always said, "Ain't no need for nobody to die, just send your best man and come and fight me, and whoever wins, that's who is in charge." And he did that 40 days. The Bible says day and night. Now, if my arithmetic is right, he did that 80 times, and they was too afraid to fight him. And then here comes a little boy, and y'all can get into that if you want to, but they were afraid to stand up for land that they had already claimed and owned because God gave it to them. What happens when those who are oppressed, or those who are treated unfair, or those who keep seeing their dead loved ones drop dead innocently day after day? What happens when they're too afraid to stand up and say something, as all those grown men was, including the king in Israel? Kobe, you want to start? Does that make sense?
Sure. When I see one of the major issues that not only in the text but even in our world today is that so many people lack confidence. David, again, he was tending sheep, and when he got the word that this uncircumcised Philistine was putting fear in the hearts of Israel, he says that I've killed a bear and a lion, and the reason why I was able to kill the bear and the lion is because of the Lord. And so many times we put too much confidence in our human strength. We put confidence in cars and cash and credit and all these political things, but we lack confidence in the Lord. And the reason why Israel was afraid is because they didn't put their true confidence in the Lord. From Genesis to Revelation, you run across the word "fear not" 365 times in the entire Bible. Unless it's a leap year, there are 365 days in a year. So every day, God is reminding us that we should fear not. When making it relevant to our current issues, that when our former president, 46 minus 1, was getting impeached the second time for the insurrection on the Capitol on January the 6th, when they first did the preliminary vote, there was at least a few Republicans who said he was guilty, but then because of fear, when the vote came down for impeachment, none of them voted because they were feared. Number one, as you just said, Tim, they were feared because of funds. They were feared that their funds from the government would be ceased, and they might forfeit their job, or if they ran again in 2022 for the Senate, that they might not get re-election. Then number two, they were fearful because some people have said that the Republican Party is no longer the Republican Party. It's the 46 minus 1 party, Donald Trump party. All of that is fear. And they putting their confidence in, again, human beings, but they're not putting their confidence, in the Lord. When Peter, making it biblical, when Peter denied Christ Jesus 3 times, and they say, aren't you the one? Peter, he denied him 3 times. He was fearful because of the consequences of the embarrassment and the humiliation that's going to go along with Peter. He was fearful. Then when Jesus told Peter, he said, I'm going to Calvary. He said, get thee behind me, Satan. And Peter really is the one whom is Satan, but Judas is the one who becomes Jesus' friend, because the Roman soldiers didn't even know who Jesus was. And Judas told them, it's the one whom I kiss. And when they got into the garden, Judas kissed Jesus, and they seized Jesus, and it was Peter. Even though he was fearful after he denied Christ Jesus, before he denied, he pulled out a knife and he cut off Malchus' ear. And Jesus told him these words: if you live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword.
Right.
And so one of the major issues in the text is the Israelites, they didn't put their true confidence in the Lord. And when we as individuals do not put our true confidence in the Lord, a spirit of fear can easily creep in, and doubt will creep in. And then when doubt creeps in, that's when we start using the words in our vocabulary, impossible. But when we say impossible, God laughs at it, because impossible is not in the vocabulary of God.
I remember when you you came and preached for us, but this text I'm thinking about, that wasn't the text you used, but I'm reminded of Peter as he was walking on the water in the middle of a storm, because the Bible doesn't say that the storm stopped, then he got out of the boat.
Right.
The storm is going on while he's having a conversation with the Lord. Lord, if it's really you, let me come out to you. So he gets out, he's doing fine in the middle of a storm. So I know it's the storm is going on, but then the Bible says this, King James says a wind came, boisterous, a violent, strong wind came. And before he knew it, it took his mind and he was distracted, and he was in great fear, and he began to sink. And I think fear paralyzes us.
What happened is that Jesus gave the invitation to all the disciples,
Mhm.
and when Peter was walking on the water, Peter was walking on Jesus' word.
That's right, he was.
But so many times we walk on everyone else's word.
Uh-huh.
And when we walk on everyone else's word, we begin to start sinking. See, there's a difference between sinking and drowning.
Right.
When you drown, you're up under the water.
That's right.
When you're sinking, you still on top of the water. That's why Peter said, Lord, save me.
Yes. Immediately it said, Hogger.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, Reverend, you just put so much preaching in there, ain't nothing left.
You're right.
Got it.
You're right.
But but when I think back to this text, one of the first thing that popped up to me is it's already yours. It was already theirs.
Yeah.
And so many times we can have land, we can have things, we can have what God promised us in our possession, but we don't act like it, right? Mm-hmm. We don't act like we're king's kids, right? We don't act like we're royal priesthood, right? We don't act like we're in the kingdom. We don't act like God will supply all of our needs. And so when you don't realize and don't think about what is already yours and what God has already ordained you to be and do, it's that slippage, it's that slippery that just fools you into thinking, man, you're just in your head, you're just in the stories, you're just thinking about all the times you failed, you're just thinking about all the times that went wrong, but not knowing that right now it is in my favor, right? It is in my favor, and if I act that way, I'll be fine. And so that was one of the biggest pieces to me. I'll quit that, and we can go back and forth on the rest of the text.
All right, that's good. I like both of y'all, what y'all are saying. Totally dependent and total confidence. Kobe, is what you said, in God. And these are people who's been walking with the Lord a long time. Remember, before Saul, they was in a theocracy, or they was under a theocracy, which is a nation that is governed by God. And then they get this king, and Saul, he's just, comes quite, man, I was preaching out of the 23rd chapter, and this same king that's running, I guess that shows a sense or a level of cowardness. But this same fella, after this young lad comes, and that's where we can pick. I wish Reverend Miller could chime in, because I know he has something to give us, and he always does. But the scripture says, after Goliath does this, man, could y'all imagine somebody coming to meet you out in the street, you on one side, they on the other side, and they challenge you twice a day for 40 days. That's over a month you listening to that. Over a whole month. If a month had 31 days, I'd say 31 plus 9, because for 40 days this dude did that, and he knows that he was a big fella. He says, well, let me pick it up right here when it says that they all were now the Israelites had been saying, do you see how this man keeps coming out? He comes out to defy Israel. The king will give great wealth to the man who kills him. He will also give him his daughter in marriage, and will exempt his family from taxes in Israel. Well, that's enough for anybody to want to, take a shot at Goliath right there. David asked the men standing near him, verse 26, what will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and removes this disgrace from Israel? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? Bible goes on to say they repeated to him what had been said about what they get who kills the man. Now watch this. Verse 28 says, when Eliab, David's oldest brother, heard him speaking with the men, he burned with anger at him and asked, I can see that in my mind. I can see this older brother. I'm talking about, probably he's so mad he could kill him, you know. But he ain't doing nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? He's so mad that he wonder what's he doing out there. But still, he's not stepping up to the challenge. Why have you come down here? And with whom did you leave those few sheep in the wilderness? I know how conceited you are and how wicked your heart is. You came down only to watch the battle. You know, he's so anointed that they think he's conceited, that his brother think he's conceited. There's always going to be somebody, and sometimes even in your own family, that when you look like, and he could have been concerned about his brother's safety, but whatever the case may be, he's upset, but still nothing is getting done. There's always going to be somebody, especially when you talking about getting the problem solved and they don't have an idea how to do it, is going to get mad at you. What do you say about this type of activity as we're trying to struggle for justice for our children? Because we're going to have to get out of here one day and we got another generation to leave behind. What do you say to those who get mad when these young people who are seeing their age group get done wrong? And how do we handle those who are going to be mad and hating and saying nothing but getting nothing done? What do you say, Hoggart?
Man, I think that's a tough thing, because you see all of the pushback on people taking the streets, and even young folks running for office, and so many different sort of iterations in society in different ways to make change, right? Because the political process is a way to make change. A slower process, showing up to protests is a way to make change. Showing up to your certain meetings is a way to make change. But then there are folks who are just really, 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 really angry, right? And sometimes that turns into riots. Sometimes that turns into other things. And it was as you all know, it was Dr. King that says riots are the language of the unheard. And so what I don't understand too much is when there's pushback. There's always, oh, you didn't have to react that way. And there's always focus on the anger, but not focus on the injustice. What happened was wrong. What happened needs to be changed, right? Yeah. And for it to continuing to happen, right? Because he's challenging them twice a day for 40 days, right?
Wow.
And you're in the face continuing to do it, and I'm just supposed to just not be angry. I'm supposed to not be sad. I'm supposed to not act out. At some point, that continual injustice just weighs on the mind. It just weighs on the body. It just weighs on the experience. And so we have to just continue to think about the compact and compressed continual struggle. And we've been doing this for years. We've been doing this throughout generations, right? It was James Baldwin who eloquently said, right, you say it takes time. It takes my mom. It took my mother's time. It took my father's time. It took my niece's time. It took my nephew's time. Took my cousin's time. What do you want to do? How you want me to reconcile myself? How much time do you want to wait for your progress? Right. And so there are people stepping up saying, I don't want to wait no more. We done did this. You can even go back to slavery, 1619 probably. You can go back. We've been doing this for too long. Let's put a stop to this now. And so that's really what comes out of that text, is just that continual piece of just, I'm here, and just keeping the foot on our necks. And so there has to be a time where the people of God step up, right? Where pastors aren't silent, right? Because what they may think. And so I think that piece comes to my mind.
Man, that's good stuff, Hoggart. Tupac, y'all, I know y'all probably didn't listen to rap when y'all was young, but I was kind of out there, and then the Lord brought me back in. So if you need to close your ears, do your thing. But Tupac, if you can remember, had an interview, and he said, if you are sitting out here, you have all these luxuries, you have all this food, and you can do what you want. He said, and then on the other side of the door, there's people who have nothing, and they see you getting all this good food. He said, the first knock is gonna be like, hello, we need some food, we are hungry. He said, and then nobody opened the door. You remember what I'm talking about, Kobe? And he said the second knock would be like, we want some food, we are hungry. He said third knock is like, give us the food or I'm knocking down the door. And that's what that is. You see people who get mistreated, nothing happens, choke the life. Just 9 minutes of pure agony and pain before the breath left this man's life, and nothing gets done. But then we see on the other side a woman who's off duty, who claims she walked into the wrong apartment and kills a man. I just saw where the lady in Louisville who got killed when the police just ran in on a no knock. Yeah, I think then a boyfriend.
Her boyfriend Charles got dismissed forever.
Yeah. And see, if you don't, like Hoggett said, and I believe that, if you get tired of that, but you have those who've been putting up with it so long that it becomes natural, and then they get away with it because we've been fighting so long. Dr. Wolf says this, that it's easy to acquiesce to the injustices than to keep fighting it, because you will literally wear yourself out. One more thing I'm gonna say, and then Kobe, I'm gonna give it to you. There's a General Lee statue, and I guess before the COVID hit, I was invited to do a bunch of stuff, concerning that. I had an interview for the college paper, and was asked to do several things. And but out of all of that, one of our members, she's gone to be with the Lord now. She was over 80 when she passed away. And I heard her daughter tell me that her mother used to say when she was a little girl, now I'm talking about a woman who would be about 86 now. When she was a little girl, that same statue was up there, situated kind of facing the predominantly black neighborhood, as to have a smirk to say, yeah, my ancestors we still rule over you. And see, that type of stuff is it's an insult, and you know how you feel when you get insulted, Kobe. So what do we do?
To piggyback off Brother Hoggett and I'll bring it back forward. 80 days, every day, morning and night, this Philistine is saying, "Bring out your best man."
Yeah, 40 times, 40 days, 80 times.
Yeah, bring out your best man. Whoever it is, they don't stand a chance. Number one, he's overconfident. It reminds me again. To our former president, 46 minus 1, who was overconfident and said these words, I'm paraphrasing, that if he loses the election November 4th, he will leave the country. As a result, he prematurely announced he was president-elect before all the votes were counted and mail-in ballots. And then we know the results. Lost the vote by millions of votes. Then the lies began to spread. As the lies began to spread, white supremacists and all those people got together. Y'all seen what happened on January 6th. And then he told them, let's walk down to the Capitol. They walked down to the Capitol. He went in another direction.
Now stop right there. If I had told my members to go up to the courthouse and I'll meet you up there because we tired of this.
Yes.
What would happen to me?
If you went in another direction?
Yeah, and I went in another direction. Yeah. That's right.
You probably wouldn't be pastor right now.
I wouldn't be talking to y'all right now. What's he doing? No.
And so he went another direction. He watched what took place on television, and then unfortunately police officers died, innocent people, some were just there just watching, died, hurt, police hurt, some of the police welcomed them in. Then after the video revealed some of these people who was inside of the Capitol and they got arrested, they said that they blamed it on Donald Trump because they said he incited it. They were doing what he said. Now they regret that they listened to lies. And so when you have overconfidence, again, what Hoggett is saying, when you got time after time after time after time, and it's nothing against some of our Caucasian brothers or sisters, but some of them, every time the injustice happens to our black brothers and sisters, some of the first thing they want to say is, let's talk. No,
Right.
let's talk. We want to talk about going to the polls, how we did back in November. We want to talk about in public policy.
Right.
It's like we want to talk about reparations that's been due to African descendants of slaves for years.
Right.
I thank God for this stimulus package, $1.9 trillion, but we should never put more confidence in a stimulus package again. Here I am again, the preacher coming out of me, than we do in God. Because because the coronavirus, even though the coronavirus is still here, and yes, the vaccine, thank God for the vaccines, but it's still real. There's still more variants, coming about. And so when you have time and time and time again, over and over and over again, black people, have so many underlying health issues, diabetes, high blood pressure, just to name a few. And then we're the lowest person on the totem pole. And at first they said when black people get it, you won't get it because of your skin color. That's the biggest lie ever told.
That's right.
And now because they have the vaccine, I know some people who struggle with what they call CVS, Walgreens, or other places, and they ask you, they want to sign up. And then the first thing they want to ask you, what's your race?
Right,
because
right.
there's still racism
Right.
going around. And current events, what took place with Megan,
Yes.
with an interview with Oprah.
Right.
So I don't care if it's in the United States, and it's really these yet to be United States. It's United States of amnesia, because so many people have got amnesia of how America became as wealthy as it became, because they worked black people for all these years, and Goliath is like a pharaoh.
That's right.
He is a typology of Satan and Lucifer.
Right.
Because he wants to put fear and doubt in your mind the same way he did Eve in the garden from the very beginning. He wants doubt to get in your mind. He wants doubt to get in between your ears and in between your head. And when doubt creeps in, that's when we start disobeying God, and our lack of trust and confidence in God, who has been here and will be here from all the time. Now, the theological question sometimes we have to ask is, God is so all-knowing. He knows it all. Why is it that black people have to suffer so much? And some of these questions we will never understand until we die and crown Jesus in heaven.
Right. Well, man, thank you. That was very passionate, and you are so right, man. But the God's will is being done. And that's if that's a theological question, I asked that a long time ago. I asked it like this: what happened? Who disobeyed God in my ancestry to put their children through all this madness? And then if you look at slavery, and then just the oh man, I start thinking about it, and it just makes me you know what? I think the reason why white supremacy gets so nervous and talking about take this country back, because they are afraid that what they did to African slaves will do to them, and when statistics say that white is going to be a minority, man, when you look at at America, did you know America is only 5% of the population? Yeah. So white is a minority anyway, but in America, they say by the year 2050, I guess what race do they call mixed? Is that the race that's going to be the majority? And then biracial.
Biracial,
and then white will be the minority. So, but it don't matter if they are the minority; they still control everything. And I want to go back to what you said about that stimulus packet. How many trillion?
Is it? Let's
there you go.
Right,
right.
About a year ago now,
Uh-huh.
The first stimulus came out, it was like 2.2, 2.3 trillion.
Right.
First one.
Okay, but
I want you to see this math.
okay.
First 2.2 trillion. Then back in December, it was like a trillion. It was so many billion, almost a trillion some dollars.
Right.
Then now here it is another because 1.9 trillion.
But so, that money.
Go ahead. Listen, if you have a single person.
Right. Go ahead. Break it down.
Don't have no children. You got first time you got $1,200. Second time you got $600. This time you're gonna get $1,400.
That's what they say.
But that's what you're gonna get. But out of almost $5 trillion.
Yeah, I didn't want to go by that. Go ahead. How much of it?
Out of $5 trillion, we're not. Most black people or any other race is not even gonna get $5,000.
That's right.
$3,000.
So where's all that money going then?
Out of all of these trillions of dollars, and the reason why I'm a component of reparations for black people is because it's nothing against Obama, but it's just the truth. Back in 2008 and 2009, when the housing industry and the cars industry crashed, you know what I'm saying? They had money for that. You know what I'm saying? I remember getting a stimulus up on the Bush.
I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? Getting a stimulus up on the Bush and all of these things, you know what I'm saying? But one of the things that, and I'm going to say this and I'm done, one of the things that the issue is in the text is Goliath is putting fear in the hearts of Israel. Now, at this time in biblical history, that after they come out of the Exodus a long time ago, they had already grew past over 2 million people. Can you imagine how many people it is that this 9-foot giant, one person is talking to millions of people, putting fear in their heart? And one of the major reasons that many of our races, especially some of our black counterparts, the reason why we're not further than where we are right now is because we don't want to come together.
That's right. I usually don't say that in front of some company, but go ahead.
It's just the truth.
It is the truth.
It's a story that, a man went to visit his friend in an insane asylum. And when he got there visiting him, he noticed out of all these insane people, there was only one security guard. So when he was leaving the insane asylum, Robert, the man asked the security guard, said, "How is it that you're the only security guard in the midst of all these insane people?" And the security guard responded by saying, "The reason why I'm the only security guard is because lunatics will never come together." and sometimes we as black people, as much as we have been oppressed, we do not want to come together. If it's not about me, it's not about my church, my denomination, my choir, my preacher, my pastor, my nonprofit. If it's not about me, I'm not gonna be a part. If my preacher's not preaching, I'm not showing up. If my choir ain't singing, I ain't showing up. If my denomination ain't doing it, I ain't showing up. But if it's me, I want the cash out. I want the Venmo. I want the PayPal. I want it all.
Kind of reminds me of a preacher. I can't stand it when you preaching right and you killing it, and this Negro over here, everybody they pushing you because you about to shut it down.
Yeah.
And here old Reverend Lowdown or whoever he is, he ain't killing it. But if he killing it, he want everybody to stand. Hey man, there's something wrong with that mentality, and we would never ever get any further than where we are if we don't come together. But how do you overcome that with hundreds and hundreds of years of being put together like that? So you can't just put the blame on us. There's a root and there's a cause to why we like that now. So I don't like it when we put the blame on ourselves. I get it, and there's got to be a generation, or maybe,
I agree. Yeah. And one of the things is that mentality, that attitude, it becomes contagious.
It does.
Okay, like David. David is confident, So David, he wants that confidence. He's confident in the Lord. He wants his confidence to rub off on the children of Israel. But the children of Israel, they have seen this giant every day now. And when you see this giant putting fear in your heart, they start griping.
Mm-hmm.
So when they start griping, that griping becomes contagious.
Right.
Saul, who is the king, is afraid. And so, when that griping becomes contagious over the confidence in the Lord, then you got a tug of war.
Man.
You got some people pulling on the right, some people pulling on the left, and then I can hear Joshua saying, "Who's on the lower side?"
Right. That's for real.
That's good there. And I'll build off of that, say, there's tugging on the left, tugging on the right, who's on the left. But then there's also a tugging on the inside, right?
Yes.
Oh, man.
And so when we don't do that internal work, that identity development, that self-esteem work, we can sometimes falter, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes say, man, we're not really doing that looking within, right?
Yeah.
And many times we're quick to look around and to help and do things, but sometimes some of these things require us to be still and look within. And I know this text is different because there was a confrontation that needed to be had. There was a war that needed to be fight. But when you're not doing that work within, you can be distracted in your mind. You can be distracted with at being one with the will of God, right? And so that's a huge that we got to be sensitive to what God wants us to do, who God wants us to be, and how that really manifests in each situation that we find ourselves in. And so that's a huge point that we see ourselves with.
And Tim, I was just thinking, my son, you brought up George Floyd. And unfortunately, martyred in broad daylight. And Jacob Blake, this man gets shot 7 times in the back. They try to say he had a gun, had a knife. You know what I'm saying? So we saw all the outrage from not just in America, but all around the countries. And of course, with the coronavirus, a lot of people that was off work, a lot of people was protesting. Unfortunately, buildings got burnt down and different stuff like that. But then eventually it dies down.
Now that's where I'm at now, right?
Yeah, it goes back to like a little bit of sense of normalcy. People got to go back to their work. People got to go back, to their homes. And like you said from the very beginning, you and Mary Roberts up in upstate New York. I'm here in Franklin. And if we don't do the job where we're at, locally, it's gonna hinder us. Going, corporately. If we got to go to another city and protest, somewhere else. So we need to get the ball rolling where we're at. Because unfortunately, it's not going to be the last time.
Well, it's not, because we done now, and that's why I keep talking about it. Well, I wish he would stop, because man, listen, I tried my best to preach a word, but I got to deal with what the Lord wants me to deal with. If that would have happened in the Montgomery bus boycott, when young and old, and man, you talk about somebody getting together. That's probably the last time Negroes got together for a common cause, and that's a shame. They refused to ride the bus. You want my black dollar, but you don't want to treat me like a regular citizen. If you get my money, then you got to treat me. We're gonna make you treat us right. So that's the way it is. I don't know if you can teach that. A good preacher friend of mine, we talked about how in the world do we change the status quo? What do we do? I mean, do we, Rev Miller, can you hear us? Rev Miller, okay. If you get in and say something, I done lost my chain of thought.
I would change the status quo.
Yeah, and the way we're gonna do that, that's where I was going, is like you said, we got to do the work where we are locally, starting with our children, because somebody's teaching kids to continue on or perpetuate racism. man, I got some people that I love dearly, and I still love them. But when this whole Trump thing, who was a fairy tale in their minds, that was a temporary reality, man, I had one guy, and man, he is a good dude. And he told me, because I did call him a racist, because you cannot justify throwing black babies into alligator pits. You cannot justify the how Emmett Till looked when Mammy Till wanted to show the world what the Marlin what they had done to her boy. Man, that type of stuff right there leaves something in you that you've got to pull. I think all of us have a responsibility, and I don't care. I'm the least of these. Trust me. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be a preacher. And I know that goes for all of us. But I'm not standing as one who says I got all the answers. But I'm saying I want to do my part, because there's got to be a change. I never will forget. And Kobe, you might have heard me tell this story. But my son had a wreck not too long ago, and I came up, teaching my kids what I believe was right. My mother taught us right from wrong, manners, and all that. So I tried to teach my kids that. I was so much on discipline, I didn't think about the way my kids felt. But all of my kids, man, when you talk to them, you can tell that they have been raised. Now, I don't, sometimes they act, like any young people act. But man, I never will forget. And you've seen Christian, Kobe. He's a big boy, and he's every bit of probably 5. He's a little shorter than me. He's probably 5'9", but he's got a lot wider than me. Probably about close to 300 pounds, and he has a wreck, split a pole in half. I thank God. Me and my wife, we get out there, and he told us this story that anytime you have a wreck, it's gonna, scare the best of us, especially his first wreck. He runs up to this house, Robert, and he knocks on the door. Well, before he even knocks on the door, this white lady comes and says, "I'm not helping you. I'm calling the cops." So now I'm thinking, wow, I wonder if that had been somebody who looked like her grandson or her son. Now, I'm going to tell y'all, some Christian is a good boy. He is not going to hurt anybody. But when you look at him, he looked like he could inflict some damage. And I'm sure he could if he got upset. But he's like a gentle giant. She don't know that. But all she saw was that black skin. Now, I got immediately mad. I told my son right in front of the police, I told you, dealing with this, you're going to experience racism. It's just a lie. They try to get mad when you talk about the truth, because nobody wants to lose their privilege, but it's real. And I don't want my son to have a potential, and I don't want to lose my life just because I look like somebody who's a threat. People say I look like I'm intimidating. Man, I am the easiest going person, especially now that I'm getting older, that you'll ever know. And just because we look like this, we will, be, I guess, stereotyped. I mean, y'all look pretty dangerous right now. No, I'm just kidding, man. Y'all look great. Go ahead. We got about 7 minutes. Well, actually, we got about 3 minutes. Yeah, both of y'all, man, go ahead and give me some last remarks and last words. I want to thank y'all again for coming, because I know y'all got schedules, and I really appreciate you. Hoggett, I just wanted to catch up with you, man, because it's been a long time. Thank you for coming on. Thank you. It really is. I told Kobe, I said, I got Hoggett coming on. You want to come on? Because Hoggett, I couldn't get him by myself, see, and that's a doggone shame. Last time he had 1,000 excuses. I said, you got more excuses than a Negro going to jail. I said, I ain't had time to look over the text. It's Monday. I said, Negro, you better come up with something. But it's good to see both of y'all, man.
I appreciate. I like hooking up with Robert on Instagram. Man. It's good to see you. One final thing that from the very beginning of the foundation, when they wrote the Declaration of Independence, you know what I'm saying? They said that all men are created equal.
Right.
The writers and founders, these yet to be United States of America, they owned slaves at the time. So Goliath, 9 foot tall. David done said, I done killed a bear and a lion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting 5 smooth stones in my pouch.
Mm-hmm.
They thought David had a spirit of fear because he had 5 stones.
Mm-hmm.
But David was going in the power and the mind of the Lord because
I'm
David
telling you.
knew that Goliath had 4 other brothers.
That's right. That's right.
He said that if these other brothers want some, I got 4 other stones for them as well.
That's right. That's
And
right.
I said that to say that the oppressor, some oppressors have died, and then some are still yet living, coming behind.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a metaphor,
It's 9 o'clock.
we gotta have more than one smooth stone. We
That's
gotta
right.
have more than one strategy.
Mm-hmm.
No, even though Joe Biden is the president now, he's not going to be president forever.
No.
So we can't stop voting. We still got to hold him accountable. One of the major things is holding up black people, besides the virus and financial pandemic, is student loan debt.
Man, it's killing me. I ain't gonna never pay it back.
No, hold. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Watch your
I'm paying it back right now.
Watch your mouth, because look, it's don't say what you won't do.
Uh-huh.
Pay back. You know what I'm saying? If they can cut $1 trillion in tax cuts,
right.
And you know what I'm saying, that you want to talk about boosting the economy.
Uh-huh.
You know, and you said earlier that it is God's will. God, I promise you, God is working behind the scenes.
That's what I'm saying. I can't say it in my own power.
Yeah. And so one of the major things is the oppressor wants to keep it, and even though I like Joe Biden, but he's still Caucasian. You know what I'm saying? He has a Caucasian persuasion. But one thing he did say on the night that he was elected, he said, "Black people, I will not forget you."
Hey man, I'm not in the streets like you. What does Caucasian persuasion mean?
in the words, he might be watching, and I'm not saying he's the originator,
right?
But in the words of Dr. Keith Slaughter, the world still has some GWFs. The world still has some good white folk. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, that's the truth. Hey, man, you know what? Black folks came and got Biden in, and you know what? He's been holding on to his words so far. Let's see how he does it the next 3 years. That's
what I'm saying, because the oppressor wants to keep us oppressed. And so David said, I got these other smooth stones that if I got to kill you, I got to kill you. So black people, you know what I'm saying, and those in the minority, we got to use our strategies of vote and come together to kill the oppressor, because there's going to always be another oppressor every generation, maybe every 4 years.
And another caste system. That's right.
Yeah, because it's a system, yes.
That's right. That's right.
And I think the other piece is that we always say focus on, do we need the master's tools to dismantle the master house? If you look at these smooth stones, you're looking at this situation and you're like, how in the world is he gonna take these stones to this giant? Like how you gonna reconcile that? But then you reconcile that in the text, because when you come to do the will of God, it don't matter what it is. It don't matter if it's a stone, a baseball bat. It don't matter what you have, right? If you are doing the work that God called you to do, it's you got this thing, right?
That's right.
And so that's what we gotta realize, that God has called us to do this work. It don't matter what's in our hands.
That's right.
That we came to show up.
That's right.
And so that's what we gotta kind of reconcile ourselves with. That. And we can just take that. I know time is short, but
hey man, listen, y'all got to come back on so we can finish the conversation.
Notice one more last thing. After all the attire that the giant had on, he had nothing on his head.
Ain't that something?
Because if you kill the head,
you kill everything. You kill the body. Listen, man, y'all want to come back on about probably another month or two?
And whatever you do, man. I'm available. If I'm available, yes, sir. I'll be honored.
You hear that, Robert? If I'm available, I'm available if I'm available. You see how he do? Everybody, hey, you better go rewind this and watch that. Like my football coach said, "Film don't lie." Now that's what you said. Now I'm just saying. So you take that up with the Lord on high. Huh? Hey man, I love y'all fellas. I appreciate y'all.
Hey,
One day I'll be able to pay y'all,
man.
but not today. Y'all take care of yourself, man.
God bless you, man.
God bless you.
Like
All right, y'all be good.